And welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. My guest of the evening comes all the way to California. She is the Chill CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Ehmandah Ramsey. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little under the weather, but happy to be here. Happy to have you on the show and hear your incredible story and how you inspire women throughout the world.
Okay.
So the floor is yours.
Wow. Well, you started off saying I'm the chill CEO, and I'll just explain a little bit about that and just about what I do as far as women. So I like to call myself the chill CEO. I have decided to make a shift in my personal brand. It's a modern style of self leadership, really helping women to rest more, hustle smarter, and lead with ease. I think all of us, even outside of women, we've all been in this culture of where we're grinding, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. If you love hip hop like I do, that's all they talk about, right? Every day I'm
Yes.
hustling, hustle hard. But with all the hustling, we tend not to be intentional about our rest or to prioritize our well being. And if you're building a business or a career, there's no way you can be sustainable in any of your goals or in your endeavors if you are not taking care of yourself. Yeah.
I'm into that. That's very true. That's very true
Hmm.
and highly important.
Yeah, it is. And then my overall work with women, besides, there's a business side of me, and then there's also the mental health side of me. Back in 2017, I started this organization called She Stories, where it's all based on women sharing their stories, and we're using those stories to help improve our mental health. And it's expanded over the years to not just sharing it with women, but also creating a platform for men to share. And we have a special initiative that we provide feminine hygiene products for homeless women and girls or unhoused women and girls. So everything that I do that's a part of my calling and my purpose is to really help people to be seen, heard, and validated and to find their voice so they can stand in the truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, that's amazing. Like what inspired you? Because I know I want to talk a little bit about both your business side and then, the chill CEO. Like what inspired you? How did it start, to do what you do and help uh, facilitate these how do I put it, these assistance for women?
Sure. Wow. How did I get started? I think, in when I look back at my life, I've always been an entrepreneur. I started off as a musician, singer,
Oh wow.
songwriter, performer, artist. And then from there, I kind of like was trying to figure out what I wanted to be in life. So I had all these business ideas and I would try everything to see, what spaghetti I would throw against the wall to see what would stick.
Yeah.
So I finally figured it out. Like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I still wasn't sure about my path. Along the way of me becoming an entrepreneur, I met this amazing guy at church. And he was a musician, a producer as well. We fell in love, but little did I know that I was falling in love with someone that had a history of domestic violence, and I found myself in a domestic
Oh
violent
no.
relationship as a
Sorry
as
to
a
hear
young
that.
woman, and then having a baby. And so for those couple of years while we were married, I experienced some DV, being held hostage in my apartment by gunpoint. Once I escaped that relationship, and then let me just break it down for you, that I never told anybody what I was going through, right? No one ever knew. I would show up to church every single Sunday, playing the piano, directing the choir, and no one ever knew that I was going through all of my DV experiences. So after my ex-husband passed away, then I had the idea of creating a safe space for women to share their stories. I had a safe space, but I chose not to say anything because, like a lot of us, right? Even thinking about yourself or your past experiences or your friends, Sometimes we don't share what we're going through because out of fear of what people may think about us, judgment or shame. So I kept all of that to myself. And I said, you know what? Even though I did have a safe family, I want to create a safe space for women to be able to share their stories so that they can be seen, heard, and validated. And so they won't feel like they're in a room being judged, that this is a safe place for them to share what they're going through. So that's kind of how, She Stories started. So all this was happening all at the same time with me launching my first co-working space in 2016 and then launching She Stories. So I had all these things going on in my life, but they all like started at the same time. It's just really wild. Yeah.
Wow. A lot of
Yeah.
perseverance in you. A lot
Hmm.
of that's first of all, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's super
Thank you.
unfortunate, but like I think your testimony serves as inspiration as a
Hmm.
survivor to help women who are going through or in similar situations to find courage and
Yeah.
stand up and fight back. So kudos to you
Well,
for
thank you.
for just being that pillar of hope, and
Yeah.
we need that so much within today's world.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I'm just blessed to be chosen to do the things that I do, to walk in this calling that I have to help women in business or help women in their everyday life. I just find it just an honor to be able to be chosen to do it. And whatever I've been through, I'm an open book and I share with anybody, just like you said, to be an example of strength and courage and resilience, and that if I went through it and I was able to come out of it, so can you.
Yes. So what now? What is the business aspect that entails? Like you already gone through so much right now, right?
Hmm.
And like, what are you doing in the present time? What do you have to offer? What are you inspiring others to do? Like,
Wow. Well, She Stories is still here. We're
nice,
still doing beautiful work in the community, in small, mighty groups. But as far as business is concerned, and this is where the Chill CEO comes into play. So, during the pandemic, I had to shut down my co-working space, right? A lot of businesses were closing. It was just a rough time for everyone around the world. And I found myself in a breakup, losing the person I thought was going to be the love of my life, right? Closing down my business, all these social issues that are happening, George Floyd murder, everything's going on at
yeah,
one time. And so from there, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I need to reinvent myself. So I began to really invest in myself by taking courses and certifications and just really sharpening my skills, still not knowing what I wanted to do. And then I had a great opportunity to open up a women's transitional home or partner with someone to do it where I can live in the home. And so I lived in the home with these women that were facing homelessness, them and their children. And then those 2 years, that's when I kind of started seeing like, okay, this is cool, but I'm starting to feel a little bit of burnout. I'm a little
yeah.
overwhelmed. I'm experiencing all these things that I've never, had experienced before when it comes down to your calling, right? I was becoming very dispassionate about serving women, and that just blew my mind. And so, I believe in God. So I had a conversation on the side of my bed with God, and I was like, God, like, what is this? Like, I can't stand working with women anymore. This is getting on my nerves. I don't hear about nobody's problems. Would you please? I gotta get out of here. What the heck is
Yeah.
going on? So I resigned from that position, and in that resignation, that's when boom. Okay, this is the shift of where you're going to be now. You know the stuff that you experienced, you know that burnout that you went through. All of that is going to be used to help women that have experienced the same things that you are going through now. And that's what birthed the Chill CEO. I was like, there has to be a better way for us to work, men and women. There has to be. Culturally, we're just taught to go, 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 but there has to be a better way. We're gonna hustle. You already know that, right?
Mhm.
We're gonna make that money. We gotta make that money. But how can we do it strategically and still be able to show up for ourselves, our kids, our partners, our husbands, our wives? And so that's when the Chill CEO was born. And I just love the shift in my work that I'm doing because I'm able to see somebody and they're like, that's it. I'm going through the same thing. I was like, I know you are. We all are. We're all tired. We're just not saying we're tired, right? And it's just been an opportunity for me to hand out permission slips like in school, because sometimes that's what we need, right? For
Hmm.
somebody to say, I see you, and it's okay for you to let go, or it's okay for you to evolve. It's okay for you to change. Yeah.
I love I love the rawness, right? And we're like, you can't stand these people because that's what everyone goes through from time to time.
Yes.
You know, there's only there's at some point you feel like there's so many sob stories you want to hear. And sometimes it's like you know the answer on how, it shouldn't be that difficult, but
Right.
sometimes the transition of of each individual is different. You're already up here and they're still down
Yes.
here and you got like trying to push them to get up here before they can realize it. And
Yeah.
that's truth and reality and not very talked about because there's no
Yeah.
way there's never an easy way to say it. There's never,
Yes.
because you got to worry about people's feelings and emotions.
Right. I
you
mean, come
know,
on. As a parent, we love our kids, but sometimes it's hard to be a parent. Sometimes you just don't want to do some things. And I think, like you said, we don't have those honest conversations out loud or on podcasts or on YouTube shows to really be unfiltered and saying, I'm tired of doing this. It's not that I don't love working with women at the time. It's just like I'm tired of doing it this way, that I need to stop and pause and choose me, heal me, and then I'll be ready to be able to show up for everybody else. But I got to show up for me first.
yeah. Have you as a woman who gone through all struggles and helping others, like was there moments in where like you felt like you're listening to deaf ears? Because like sometimes you have the story, you have the competence, it's like, hey, this is what you need to do. But then, you find yourself also like you feel like you're wasting your time. You're doing all this good
Yes.
and like you're not going anywhere because they're not absorbing what you're putting out. And becomes almost a sense of like it's not fair to you because you have so much potential, you're calling and patience and that also
Mhm.
sense of nurturing these women's and people in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think we as healers or service people, whatever you want to call it, coaches, consultants, is that we have to understand that everyone isn't ready, right? So we have to make a decision. Like I'm offering you information, but if you're not ready, I can't make you be ready. The old saying, like you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink.
Mm.
It's the same thing with people. Some people just aren't ready. And that's okay because they're on a different timeline. So we have to learn how to have some empathy, give that person grace, but also know when to step away. And I'm here if you need me. You're not ready yet, and that's okay. Yeah.
So what now? What the present time? What is, did you find your husa, your 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 healing? Like what's it like now?
Yes. I have found my woosah. I am honoring my capacity because I had to learn the hard way to rest, right?
Mm.
But I'm honoring my capacity. I'm being very intentional about my rest. I'm creating those boundaries. I'm learning how to say no, something that all of us need to do in our lives that is so hard because we don't want to disappoint people, right? We don't want to seem like we're flaky or whatever our reasons may be. But through my journey of shifting my personal brand, I've really learned how to implement those things that I'm preaching about, right? I'm not just preaching to the choir. I'm preaching the message to myself and actually making actions, right? Doing the work that I speak about to people all the time. But listen, there was a time where I wasn't, right? Before all of this, before the big crash and the burnout, I'll be telling people all the time, you can't pour from an empty well. You have to, refill yourself. And imagine like if you had a cup, right, where the well had this much water, you're scraping trying to get the water. I mean, that's the message I was preaching to everybody, but I wasn't living it myself until I had to do it. Until rest chose me. I didn't choose rest, it chose me.
You put yourself first. You
Mm-hmm.
you became a woman of wisdom, right? Like,
Yeah.
hearing you talk, you remind me of my wife so much because my wife is going through so much right now. A lot of things
Mm,
I can't discuss due because that's not my truth. I gotta
right.
respect her, and even having a child with autism, which is like my son's everything. Uh, no, my wife's everything to my son, and I see her
Hmm.
some days burned out, difficult to smile, and I try
Yeah.
to, you put yourself first, but she's a woman whose pride is filled with being a stoic person. She's not
Hmm.
gonna let it affect her. She's not gonna let it break her down. But it's hard,
It
It's tough
really is.
and it's difficult, but you keep pushing forward.
Yeah, it is hard. As a mom, my sister was a caregiver, to her husband, to my dad before he died. We all were participating as caregivers, and because you love someone so much, you put yourself to the side because you want to take care of their needs. And um it's important and I love how you said you're there for your wife, and you tell her, whatever you need, and I got you. It's important for people to hear that, to know that they do have support, but also too, we have to make the decision to accept the help, and
Yeah.
to say it's gonna be okay even if I'm not here for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's they gonna be all
Hmm.
right. It's gonna
Hmm.
be okay. But it's hard to see that because you've been that, end all to be all for that person or that partner or that child. So I can imagine that that's hard for her. But I really hope and pray that she,
I'm into
listens
that.
to you and takes your advice and your help.
I try, it's not easy. Your girls sometimes are very stubborn, but strong, so, I can only put in God's hands
That's
and
right.
give
That's
her
right.
clarity, give her clarity.
Yep, that's true. Yeah.
With in your journey, right? This adventure we call life. Was there any point in time like you in this healing process, like you told yourself sometimes people got to save themselves because you're putting yourself out there. You want to show them a better way because surely but surely you got to a better way.
Yeah.
Like, was there a point in time you was like, you gotta save yourself because I can't, I'll be waiting for you right here when you're ready to cross that road.
Hmm. Hmm. I'll be like, you're not ready. And at this point, even like with a few of my coaching clients that I've had in the past, I'm like, you're not ready, and it's okay. But I think this is the end of our journey. When you
Mm,
do become
mm,
ready, you can always reach back out to me. But you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, and it's just maybe you need to go down another path. Maybe you need to find somebody else. But I personally think that you're just not ready. You're not ready for your healing, and you can't
mm.
fight anybody for their healing.
Yeah, I agree.
You know.
Now, and if somebody like wants to wants you to purchase your service of coaching, like what are some things you can offer them to get the ball rolling?
For sure. I when I think about what I offer to my clients and to future clients is that I really help women to find their voice, whatever it may be. Your voice may have been muted by your past or by your trauma. It may have been muted by loss that you may have experienced. But I'm here to partner with you to be a guide to help you to get back to yourself, to return to yourself. And I think once a person does that, then they're able to have a little bit more clarity. Then they can start building their confidence and start showing up more for themselves. But I think that they need to find their way back to themselves because some of us are lost.
Yeah.
So how can I build a business if I don't even know who I am?
Mm,
If I'm lost, right? How can I
mm.
really honestly build a business? Because then I don't know what I want.
Yeah. And
So
that's
I'm just
and
searching.
that's the first battle because building a business, you're always lost. Trying to just see what's new, what's need to be done, what I need to do better,
Hmm.
So that's a battle on your alone, right?
Yes, it is. And I mean, I've even said to myself, a few years ago, it's like, you know what? Even with the pandemic, I was like, you know what? God was like, listen, you got to pause. Like, don't start a new business. Don't start a side hustle. This is your opportunity for you to pause. And then the pause, you can grow in knowledge. You can also heal yourself. You can also come back to yourself. And I think that's all a part of self leadership, right? It's like you have to be very self aware of who you are and where you are and be okay with pausing. It's
Mhm.
okay to pause.
Yeah, yeah, very
Mm-hmm.
true. I think sometimes I just pause and taking, people have this weird perspective that if you're taking a couple of step backs is bad, but sometimes you need that to clarify, to recalibrate
Mm-hmm.
the better view you have in front of you.
Yes. So true. Or if I don't put this out here, somebody else is gonna have my business or something's gonna happen and I'm gonna lose all of if I don't show up on social media, I'm gonna lose my followers. It's okay.
And when you come to realize that doesn't matter. You know,
Mm-mm.
I've I've been blessed. We build up to 10K on our YouTube channel, but like that
Wow.
fluctuate.
Yeah.
Social media, Instagram, that fluctuate. Everything goes up and down. And if you're I'll say this, if you're what you're worth, what you're saying is has values, it will take some time to
Yes.
build, but it will maybe last forever
Mm-hmm.
because it's valuable. Nothing easy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Nothing worth fighting for comes easy, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
just gotta, even with this, like it's sometimes it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, I can hear people's business and because I've done it so long, I could pinpoint why your business is not flourishing in anything.
Mm.
And but tell me your story, tell me your hunger, tell me, you know,
Yeah.
be raw with it because when you're building a business, it's very much like a relationship. Sometimes it's an abusive relationship because you going up, it goes down, you go down, it
Yes.
goes up. You're learning, you're bettering, you're finding always a better way to improve. It's a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
what keeps you balanced is that pause.
Yes. Yes. And I think, as a creator, right, or a content creator and influencer, it's really important for us to pause, right? That's why it's important for us to batch content
Hmm.
because there's times when you just like, I am just not feeling it, okay? Like, how many
Yes,
how many episodes do I got in the can? Because I can't do this.
yes, yes, exactly.
So that's why, when I talk about being a chill CEO and hustle smarter and, rest more, lead with ease, is that we have to be strategic about the things that we do because life will life. It happens, right? But if we're strategic, like you're saying about knowing your business and knowing strategy and knowing when to pause, you can put things in place where if you have to pause, you're still showing up on YouTube. You're still
Yeah.
showing up on social media, but behind the scenes, like I got some stuff going on I'm taking
Hmm.
care of right
Hmm.
now.
The best thing ever, the best thing they ever delivered, creative was scheduling.
Right?
Schedule, schedule everything. Oh man,
Oh gosh, that's so true.
right?
Yeah, but I think that like you said these conversations that we're having right now, they need to be had so much more than I think 3 4 years ago. Like it's so timely, considering like May is mental health month and we forget as entrepreneurs, CEOs, content creators that our mental health is really important. And when you do work solo, it's kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm,
When you're doing solo work, it can be very challenging mentally, and you know, use the tools that you have: mental health professionals, schedulers. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
Use some of those things. Hire a team. Go to Fiverr if you have to. Get some friends that are talented and skilled to help you out, but
Chat
do some of those things.
GPT.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
AI. Take some of the weight off of you because I think if you continue to work, 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 you can become burnt out and then you just won't love it anymore.
I've been using Chat GPT as my therapist, man. I tell people use it for business and whatnot, but I be, it be saying, "Damn, Dio." Uh,
Listen, you're not the only one. They have released an article, I think it was on Afrotech, about how people are using AI for therapy. So I'm sure there's going to be some big changes coming in the mental health industry when it comes down to AI for sure.
as it should, as it should. So are you still singing? Are you still doing music at all?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a director of worship at a church. Of course, I sing like at funerals and things of that sort. And I still write and sing on other people's projects, background, things like that. So yeah, I'm still involved. I'm still a creative. It's still there. It will never go away.
Have you ever thought about releasing your own EP, releasing, a track list of music so that people can, appreciate your vocals and your music?
Yeah, I have some music out there. I released something, I think it was last year or maybe earlier this year, but I have music that I've recorded with a band, solo music. So I got some stuff out there on Spotify and,
Yeah, well, tell us the name,
SoundCloud.
share it, come on, let us know, let us look.
Yeah, for sure. It's not Amanda Ramsey, but it's just Amanda. I have a project, a couple of songs that I did with an artist named D Mills. You can check him out on Spotify. And also, like I said, you can check me out on Spotify or SoundCloud, Apple Music, YouTube. I'm out there. Just put my name in there.
Mm, there we
Hmm.
go. When you're is there any like because everyone I want to say since the pandemic, everybody's really suffering from some type of mental health with anxiety or something. When you're working with your clients, is there something, a same thing that's keep coming up that people are suffering constantly?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that I've been talking to is imposter syndrome.
Mm,
A lot of people have ideas and dreams, but they keep getting caught up in this narrative of what other people may think about them. And some people deal with depression. Some of the clients that I do work with, because I've worked in the mental health field before,
yeah.
I used to work at a residential treatment facility for foster care youth, specifically boys. So I was a part of the therapeutic team. So one of the great things that I have, tools in my kit, is that I'm able to really recognize in my clients, okay, you need to refer. You need to go see a therapist. I only can take you so far. I can be by your side, but you have deeper wounds that you need to get worked out. Because for some people, it could just be like, oh, I don't think, I can do it. I don't have the skill or ability, but there may be some people that are dealing with some deep rooted concerns or wounds based from their childhood. Maybe something that happened to them when their parents are like, well, you'll never be, you know, anything because you'll be like your dad. And maybe they've heard that narrative that turned into a label for all these years. And so when people have that type of wound, I believe that they need to go see someone, a therapist, a licensed therapist, to help them unpack in order for them to be able to find their path to healing. And then they can begin to really start seeing and being them who they're called to be.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service, first of all. Uh, that's something that, we all need as a child sometimes. The right
Hmm.
people surrounding us, the right people to guide us and know how to talk to us, because not everything is
Hmm.
yelling, not everything is military,
Yeah.
and that's something that I know as a parent I struggle sometimes because I was this kid who grew up in Puerto Rico and not a lot of people took liking toward me because
Hmm.
I'm an outside. I'm not, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, I think we don't want to share those things, but as an adult, I think the older you get, you're like, oh wow, that really impacted me. Those things that people said,
Yeah.
that really messed me up, or that really kind of set me back, or maybe caused me to detour off the path that I know that God has for me. It's like, oh, you know what? I think maybe I might need to get a little help. And it's
Yeah.
okay.
You know, ironically, sometimes you just need one person to believe in you, one person that says
Yes.
you're a good person, you're a good kid, you know? You
Mm-hmm.
only need one. You know, if I had that when I was growing up, that was me telling myself, you know, because everyone was telling me, you know, yeah, well, I was I was a perfect kid. But, you know,
Yeah.
if you had more people that just you're just a kid, you know, you're gonna make your bumps and bruises, but you're a good kid. You
Yeah.
got this. You know, something of those lines that could help you
Mm-hmm.
elevate any kid, right?
Yeah. That's so true, deal. Like when I used to work at the group home with boys, I would see the most behavioral challenge child, young man that walked through my chapel doors, that called me out of my name, called me a B. But, I saw beyond that, right? I saw a
Yes.
person that was hurt. A kid that experienced a lot of trauma that saw things that I probably have never seen in my life, right? And I looked beyond that and really was able to have conversations with these boys and really to help them see who they are, even though they were abandoned or rejected by their parent. But a lot of these kids, the ones that become like the leaders of the group, right? They call them the alpha in the group home. Those are the kids that are leaders. You're born leader. And I would tell these boys all the time, I was like, you know what? I know people have said this about you. I know you've done this. I know you're here, but guess what? You are a leader. You have amazing qualities inside of you. If you would just go from negative to shifting it to positive, you are going to be an amazing young man that makes amazing things happen in this world. And the crazy thing about it is like a lot of those kids that I knew, half of them are dead because they died, right? They were
Mm,
murdered or they were homeless or they OD. But there are a few kids that I still keep in contact with this day that are leaders that are helping people with their political campaigns. It's amazing. So I agree with you is that we need to pour into people, speak life into people, speak life into kids, and just tell them, just that one person. You can go back and think about like if somebody along the way said that to you, you know what, Dio? You gonna be amazing when you grow up. Watch you gonna do some big things. You be
mm.
like, whatever, I don't care what you say. Years later, you're like, man, I remember when so and so said that to me. That really impacted my life. I was able to reach just for that one thing that I heard, and it helped me pull myself back up. We need it.
Yeah. And you know, I'm raising the grandson that I've been raising since he was like 6 months, right?
Really?
And you know, he's a great kid, but you know, he never stays still, right? And so like in
Mm,
school, they already categorize him as this kid who's like always getting in trouble, but like for nonsense. It's not a
yeah.
bad kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he has already built this reputation. And I told him all the time, like, oh, you just keep doing you.
Yeah.
Keep doing you that it's not gonna happen overnight. But you know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
credibility. He likes basketball, he likes sports, so it's like your stats.
Yeah.
You know, it's something your credibility, you have to it's gonna change throughout time. It's not gonna change just because one day you were good doesn't change all the, you know, the quote unquote headaches you gave. You gotta build
Mm-hmm.
towards that. Just keep doing you, keep your head down, keep getting good grades, keep doing what you're supposed to, and you're gonna be okay. And you
Yeah.
know, you'll know when you're right and you'll know when you're wrong. And you just keep it moving. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah. That's awesome. And he needs that. He needs that. You believe in him. He can, at the end of the day, he's like, I don't care what anybody says. He believes in me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta I think that's one of the things that, you know, like this generation, maybe they're older, but it's like I tell my wife all the time, even with my autistic son, I have a plan for you. You're going to college. You're going to do something. I don't care what it
Hmm.
is, but you're going to, I expect you.
Yeah.
And the only thing I expect you to do is do your part as you should. You
Hmm.
go to school, get good grades. That's all for you.
Hmm.
And you know, they can lock into this like, wow, my parents have all expectations. Not we don't have expectation. We have expectation for you, something that you
Yeah.
should have for yourself.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. That's good. You got a little old school in you.
Oh man, I thank my grandparents every day. If it wasn't for
Yeah.
them, I wouldn't gotten this far, you know?
Wow. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I love that.
And then,
That's
I I've never understood the you said it earlier, the being somebody you're not, that your clients. I never understood that concept because even in places I let's say I would never belong or shouldn't belong. My
mm-hmm.
mentality was like the only difference between you and me is that your experience and mine.
Mm,
That's all it is. This you been here 20 million times is the first time for me, and
yeah.
but it's not that I don't belong here,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I belong here
Yeah.
just like you.
I love that. That's some next level confidence right there.
Yeah, and that's how I try to treat I try to instill into my stepdaughters, my nephews, my son,
Mm-hmm.
my grandson, because that's very important. You belong everywhere. Doesn't matter what
Yeah.
race of color you belong. If you're there, it's because you're meant to be there, right? The
Mm-hmm.
only difference between you and me as a person is level of experience.
Yep.
And we all have to go through this walk of life to gain it. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
you do with it, how you express it, how do you use it, either as a tool or as an excuse, that's all the individual. But
Yeah.
you have to develop that.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally believe what you're saying when it's like when you have these opportunities and you're like, well, dang, I'm walking in a room like all these people are educated, they got PhDs and all that. What am I doing here? You're here because you're supposed to be here. Maybe their education got them there, but your purpose and your calling
Mm,
got you here. So that I can't even explain. Sometimes the places, I'm sure you know this for yourself too. The places or the rooms that you're invited in. Why me? Why was
hmm
I chosen? Because you're supposed to be here.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have to see, the bigger picture of it all. Like you're here for a reason. You were invited for a reason. So take advantage of where you are right now.
You know,
Yeah.
what's crazy? I think you can relate to this because you're an entrepreneur. Is like people don't trust their failures because
Mm-hmm.
if you're willing to continue to fail and then try again, fail, try again, like your confidence will be up the roof because you're not like one thing that holds people back is failing and staying there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
people will get confused. Yeah, you're so cocky. I'm not cocky because I'm confident I can fail in anything, but that's not going to stop me. How are
That's
you going to
right.
learn? How are you going to progress? How are you going to develop? Like we are human beings. We're meant to break to rebuild. A
Yeah.
butterfly has to break themselves out of the cocoon to become a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to break and
Yeah.
slowly develop ourselves, heal ourselves like you healed yourself,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think another conversation that people don't have is we don't talk about failure enough when it comes down to your business. Like when you first started, even when I first started my business, nobody said, "Okay, now
Yep.
you're probably gonna fail."
Yep.
Just I'm just letting you know that from off top. I'm not trying to be negative, but you're gonna fail some point in this journey. If people would have told me that, I think that kind of really would have set me up a little bit more to for the real things that are going to happen in it. But I think everybody has a shiny picture of what a career or a business or being an entrepreneur looks like, but people don't show the messiness.
Yes. Yeah, speak about it, preach. And
Show that.
what's insane is that like you have somebody who is a dropout of college versus somebody who has a master's degree, right, or a degree in anything, and
Mm-hmm.
they both started business, and both of
Mm-hmm.
them are lost. Doesn't matter how
Yep.
much education you think you have, when it comes to start a business, like you never know.
Mm-mm.
You don't know where to start.
Mm-mm.
And we sit down and talk about taxes alone,
I'm done.
you know, it's different.
It is different. The stress that you go through when you're building, something and you're using your own money and how long it takes for a business to actually be successful. Yeah, let's talk about the real stuff here,
Mm-hmm.
guys. It's like with content these days, right? Everybody's like, I'm gonna go viral, right? So you have 25,000 followers, but you're still broke.
Mm. Speak about it.
So them numbers don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? If you're not benefited from it. So I mean in business, like that's what they need to teach. Like everybody wants to go viral, I want to go viral, I don't go viral. But what happens when you do?
Yeah. And like going viral is it's not means you're consistent,
Right.
you know? Like it's that means everyone is sharing your content, but it's, if you're like a brand, not everybody's buying your brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. And
you
people
know?
don't even know too. Like I don't remember this one girl they were talking about. It's like she blew up right on social media. Now she's getting these brand opportunities and these sponsorships. She doesn't know anything about business. So she fumbled the bag. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. It's like you said, you can have the education, but when you start a business, you got to deal with the real life stuff that happens within a business. The same thing when you blow up. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, are you prepared for all these brand deals and these sponsorship deals that come towards you? Are you a good money manager? I mean, you have all these things that you have to deal with. And that's the real truth
Mm-hmm.
behind career and business.
Especially if you're coming from somewhere like if it's poverty and and they offer you 1 point mil, like what are you gonna do? You know, you think you're rich. That's
I'm
just
gonna
the
buy
loan you
all
gotta
my
pay
friends
back.
some shoes.
Yeah. Maybe buy my mama this house I can't afford later on.
Right.
And that's real. This is
Yeah.
why, gaining experience. This is why people, when you read these books and meet these investors, they're at an age and where
Yeah.
they're older, they're mature enough. Some no, but most of them manage your
Mm-hmm.
money.
Yeah.
We're young, I think it was like maybe 2010
Mm-hmm.
or 12 was like this idea of live fast, die young.
Oh yeah.
There's that's horrible mentality,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
but you got to work for everything. Everything's work. Everything's earned and nothing's given.
Yeah. You really have to educate yourself. That's another big part of self-leadership is really educating yourself. As a career person, as an entrepreneur, content creator, whoever you may be, educate yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's so that's discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That's discipline. It's so hard. People want that instant gratification sometimes. And like I sit down and sometimes I sit down and talk to people about podcasting because I've been doing it so long, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I look at like on Facebook how to, with 5,000 followers, you can start making money off of ads, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
milestone. But people don't know that. But it's if you're looking for money, then you have to be looking for educating yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is, it's like start a podcast and make $15,000 a month.
I'm sorry. But starting a podcast is like the biggest scam. Like I started because, like I wanted to talk to people. I wanted, to get into the
Mm-hmm.
heads and see their experience, hear their story, right? But a lot of people started because they wanted to make money,
Heck yeah.
and once they start doing it, they do that third, fourth season, and don't
They
see no return. It's hard.
they like, I'm done. I'm good on this. Yeah. Yeah. It's not it's the long game, you know. We don't want to play the long game, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's too much, too long, trying to make me some money. What else I'm gonna do?
But the water's saturated, so you gotta look for blue waters, clear blue waters, and that's where you can
Yeah.
really grow. Right now, everything it's. I remember a friend of mine told me right now we're in bloody waters where everybody's there. It's a lot. We gotta look for those blue clear ones, and hopefully we can make something happen.
Peace. Well, where's show us the way, Dio?
Man,
Like Rafiki, like show us the way. Like where is it at?
it's in the long run. It's in the long. It's what you've been doing. You at a moment
Mm,
of difficulties, God bless you, gave you the opportunity, and you chose to survive. And
yeah.
then you kept going, and you took your inspirations to help others, but you soon realized that you can't save everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Then you took a route where you need to find and heal yourself.
Yeah.
And then now you're at the point where like you have to live through your own actions. What you say
Mm-hmm.
you got to live. And this is where I tell people all the time, you got to live as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You do
Mm-hmm.
that, you keep true to yourself, you believe in faith and not in action. And if you do believe in action, believe in yours that
Mm-hmm.
are on the righteous path, right? And people eventually will follow. It's going to take some time, but they will,
Yeah.
you know,
That's real
because,
talk.
because when it comes to, like I say, hip hop, it's a young person's game. They're going to grow out of it. Hopefully grow out of it. You don't want to be a 50-year-old man, with your pants baggy, but
Yeah.
the answer is time. Everything is time.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't always like this. I had to go through my own battles, 10 years married, you know,
Mm.
appreciating, it takes time to appreciate somebody,
Yeah.
building a family, going through ups and downs because this is life. It's a roller coaster. If it was
Yeah.
just a flat line, oh my God, you're either dead or you'll be boring as hell.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's so important that when I have guests on, it's like, I want to hear your story. Tell me. Be
Yeah.
raw, be you. Because we also live in this fantasy where we're only documenting the good times
Mm-hmm.
and not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that right now we live in good times is because we had to go through those bad times and go through that hardship to develop the person God wanted us to become.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Yeah.
So time.
I I agree with it 100%. Like whatever, path, you're on, whatever your calling is, whatever your purpose is, whatever you feel that business is that you were born to do, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
It really is. And you learn so many dope lessons along the way though too. Um, even my co-working space, I learned so many lessons along the way, where I can look at my failures and use it as a playbook for the next brick and mortar that I open. Things I will do and things I will not do moving forward.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people famous with money that have no skills at all.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Mm-hmm.
crazy?
It's wild, right?
I mean, you have talent, and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be shady, but that's kind of just facts,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
it is. Yeah, it is. It is. They got the money, right? Yeah. But like you said, it takes time to build, and look where you are. You're like a testament to a lot of people that really want to start a YouTube channel or do a podcast. It's like you're in it because you enjoy doing it. You love sharing other people's stories. It's not about making the money. The money is the byproduct, right? Like you
Yeah,
get the money, that's cool. But at the end of the day, this is what you love to do, and it's helping change so many people's lives that just either subscribe or they're just falling in and finding you and like, wow, that really helped me. And that's the true work right there.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
into that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I grew up with my grandparents, and man, I I never took for granted their presence unless they were, yelling at me because I did something wrong. But besides that point, like I used to, we had these rocking chairs,
Mm,
and my grandfather, my grandma, my grandpa, I used to sit in the middle, and he was just rock back and forth, and they would tell me, stories about their life, what they
mm,
went through. I remember my grandfather told me like, the time why he got drunk and tattooed his knuckles, like, but it's like there's so much rich stories that have
yeah.
never been told, and then you don't have the right ears to listen.
Hmm.
you know, you can, you know, sometimes you don't have to make your own mistakes to learn the lesson. You can learn
Hmm.
through others just by
Hmm.
listening. And, you know, that's essentially what you've done with your life. And those women eventually will get on their path and remember
Yeah.
you, and those boys will remember you because all you had to do was take time and listen and be kind.
Yeah. 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 And we need that. We need more people to listen and to be present in the conversation, not just waiting for their opportunity to jump
Yeah.
in and say something. And I believe that people do overcome. People's lives are changed when they do share their stories. I always say that your past can change somebody's future. If you just would, take the time to share, and it doesn't have to be on a stage, doesn't have to be on a podcast, but just one conversation at a time. If you can just share your personal experiences of how you've overcome, you can help somebody to find hope and change their life as well.
Into that. And you know, just a disclaimer, you know, I'm not a Mr. Goody Two Shoes. I have my days. I am majority of my time I'm just an asshole. You know, so like it's I'm not trying to be perfect, but you know, these are the
Yeah.
things that, you know, in one moment or so you just like your moment you had of this is time for me to heal. Like you'll have
Mm-hmm.
those moments and you realize, damn, this is
Mm-hmm.
actually what's needed, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We know
But
you ain't perfect. It's
you
okay.
know, it's life lessons. You continue to grow as you grow, you know.
Yeah, that's right. The more you
Uh,
know, the more you grow, right?
yes, it's been such an honor speaking with you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking out the time and despite of not knowing what I do, you took the opportunity and risk it just to talk to me. I could have been a psycho, you know, but you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I will be
Oh.
grateful forever for it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, and I would have got psycho vibes if you were when we first started the conversation. So you good, you good. I appreciate you creating this platform and giving me the opportunity to share my story and just to inspire people, like your hat says.
Appreciate that. Before we go, please tell the people they can find you at.
For sure. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook or TikTok, Amanda Ramsey with the E, or amandaramsey.com. Check out my website. And if you want to listen to some music, you can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, or Amazon. I'm out there. Just look for me.
Boom, there you have, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go support her. Make sure you go press replay nonstop on her music right now. You know, help her, you know, because
Thank
talent
you.
does exist and they're the ones that need to support. Once again, thank you for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Deal Talk TV, so that we continue to grow and provide these amazing conversations like the one we just had. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.